Good evening and welcome Mr Mayor, councillors, staff and viewers of this council meeting. I now turn to our Mayor for the prayer.
Thank you, Claire. Almighty God, we humbly ask you to guide our deliberations for the welfare and the benefit of the Moira Shire and the people whom we serve. Amen. Acknowledgement to country. We, the Moira Shire Council, would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet and pay our respects to their elders, both past and present. Apologies and leave of absence. No councillors leaving, thank you. Declaration under the Act, Regulations, Code of Local Laws. 6, disclosure of conflict of interest. Any conflict of interest, councillors? No, thank you. Confirmation of minutes from previous meeting. Could I have a councillor move the previous meeting, please? Councillor Cox, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll move motion that the minutes of the scheduled council meeting held on Wednesday, the 15th of December 2021, and the minutes of the unscheduled meeting of council. Sorry, I might be able to move this, Mr Mayor, because I wasn't here.
Okay, Councillor Lawless, would you like to move the minutes? Sorry, Fiona. Yeah. The microphone, so okay.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. That minutes of the scheduled meeting held on Wednesday, the 15th of December 2021, and the minutes of the unscheduled meeting. Is it on the next page as well? Of council held on the 2nd of February 2022 as prepared be confirmed.
Could I have a councillor second that, please? Councillor Brooks, all those in favour? Carried, thank you. Councillor reports. Councillors to provide verbal reports. Councillor Mansfield.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Last week, I attended a region meeting of the Murray-Darling Association at Shepparton. We've got a new CEO who's now residing in Albury. They have cancelled their offices vacated their offices in Echuca and are operating out of the council chambers in Albury, which is much more beneficial for the organisation. The subjects debated were the old story, the Barmer Choke, and other areas of the Goulburn River high water flows during summer. And but generally it was a very good meeting, and there was reps from Federation Shire, Berrigan Shire, Shep and Moira, and there was a couple of other individuals that were there as well as private members. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Mansfield. Councillor Elliott, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a couple of quick reports. I just want a special mention first for a couple of Moira staff, Sally and Amy, who went above and beyond in solving a problem for one of our residents in Bundalong who needs wheelchair for mobility. She was having some issues with a neighbour who took umbrage to her placing rubbish bins on her nature strip for collection, and does anything but the right thing and throws them across the road, in the gutter, anywhere but where most neighbours would normally do the right thing and just return them. So it's by no means a precedent, Sally says, but the driver in this case reached a compromise with Sherry's bins and kindly returned them to her property. So thank you, Sally, and thank you, Amy. I'd also like just to give a brief report on the flooding in Bundalong in the early hours of the 30th of January, where about 150 mil fell in a couple of hours. It circled around the area for a couple of hours or so, then went on to Rutherglen and Shilton and absolutely smashed those towns. So caused a bit of damage at Bundalong as well. So first of all, a big thank you to the SCS responders, mainly Gerald Nunn, plus local residents, Tristan Saunders, Craig Rickards and Glenn Menhennett, and many others who spent the day basically pumping water from the most affected properties. A quick call to the Mayor also saw Council come across and assess the flood situation. Initially, after a logistical hiccup, a large pump turned up from the Shire and began pumping, starting the mammoth task of pumping, and flood water, which was backing up quicker than the pumps could clear it. Pike Street and properties always seem to flood from the highway down and back from the ovens, peaking at the lowest point being the middle of Pike Street. Properties in and around this intersection were severely damaged. Pools inundated, septic pumps, etc., etc. Other streets in the township were also pretty badly damaged. And it couldn't make its way to the river because of the natural flow of the land, I suppose, and it sort of backed up on itself and went back onto properties. Esmond residents, which is just near Bundalong, as a collective, spent the whole day on Sunday pumping water as well. Once again, houses, pools, septics, machinery. Another was pretty badly damaged. So after this particular flooding event and walking around getting an overall feel of community sentiment, I got the sense that some of the community is doing it pretty tough. Rates in Bundalong are pretty high compared with the rest of the Shire. And some residents feel that their property prices and rates are escalating beyond the reach of most of the community who actually live and work here. And it's a bittersweet situation, of course, but if the rates continue their upward trend, because of the property prices, the fair whack of our community will eventually have no option but to sell up to cashed up holiday makers, because the rates will simply make it too expensive to live here, and Bundalong may lose its sense of community. So,
well, let's
anyway,
Councillor Elliott. Let's hope not. So,
well, that's what I said. A town full of holiday homes. I hope not as well. So, cheers.
thank you,
Thanks.
Councillor. Any other council reports? Councillor Heather.
Yes, I was lucky enough to attend the Numurkah Australia Day event. It was a lovely gathering of people, and they made me feel very welcome, even though most of them didn't know who I was until I started to speak. Lou Hammond was the MC for the day, and he did a fantastic job. And all the people who won the awards were really quite humbled by the event. So that was really lovely. Afterwards, and I must apologise to Peter and Dorothy Hurd, I didn't realise, and no one else did there either, I don't think, that they'd been they had been awarded an OAM, both of them, in the Australia Day Honours. So I felt a little bit embarrassed afterwards, but I did congratulate them myself and thought we might be able to do something there. The town band was wonderful, and so was the ukulele club. I've never heard ukulele played before, but my goodness, that was really entertaining. So it was a lovely event, and all the services and community groups that were involved with the food and all that sort of stuff was great. So I congratulate them on that and making it a really town-based or area-based event. It was lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Limbrick.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I too attended a couple of Australia Day events, one at Barmer for breakfast, which was really well attended. It was a comparison to last year. We got drowned, and this year was nice and sunny and warm. So I think the numbers were certainly down, and I think we can blame COVID for that, but there was certainly a good gathering, and it was a really pleasant morning. And then later in the day at Nathalia, and the same thing, the numbers were certainly down, but it was a great community event, well handled by the organisers. And I'd like to take the opportunity to congratulate all the award winners from all of our communities throughout the Shire. We are blessed with some extraordinary volunteers and some extraordinary people. I also attended the Audit and Risk Committee meeting last Thursday, and it was interesting. Our internal auditor reported that the council is doing extremely well by comparison to other councils that they're involved with, and I think that's a really important thing for council to be a leader. There were identification of a few things like the risk around long-term planning that we're well placed with, and Claire is making some moves on some of those issues already. And the long-term sustainability of council in relation to costs of staff, etc., and the potential of offsetting some of our increasing costs with business arrangements. And I think that was some of the things that we've talked about in council briefings previously, and I think it was just nice to hear the auditors on the same page. There was also some discussion about the grants procedure and the preparation of a policy framework, and we were informed that that's actually underway at the moment. So just to tighten up the framework around our grants policy. But overall, the presentation of accounts, the analysis of accounts, etc., was all quite positive, and I think we seem to be in reasonably good shape. We have had discussions about it, broadening the Audit and Risk Committee brief, and I think that'll happen over the next couple of meetings. So we're working on that. And then it's a council. Well, I actually represent council on the GMID committee, which is Gold Murray Irrigation District, which is a lobby group in relation to water matters, and had a meeting of that last week as well. And then we had an address from the New South Wales representative in relation to floodplain harvesting, which is one of the big issues that Victorians see uncontrolled or limited control over water harvesting off the floodplain. And it was a really interesting presentation. Interesting to know, though, that the statistics show that floodplain harvesting makes very little difference to the amount of water that actually flows into the Murray, but it certainly has an impact on the environment. And there are some moves afoot to tighten it up. The elephant in the room is Queensland, who don't seem to want to do anything about it, strangely enough. And so New South Wales can only deal with what they've got, but the bigger issue lies north of the border, and that's our challenge for everybody, I think. The other discussion was around advocacy by the group, having regard, we've got a state election and a federal election in this year. And so over the next month or so, there'll be some discussion internally about what the major points are that this group needs to be lobbying our candidates for over the next 12 months. And we also had an address from Corey Goodwin, who's the CEO of Fonterra, and sits on this committee as well, about the dairy industry, just an update on where the dairy industry is at, and the labour challenges and farm gate pricing and shortage of skilled labour, global market positions and challenges around water and high prices, etc., which I thought was a really interesting meeting, and a lot of work to do. And it ties in with the Murray-Darling Basin, obviously, and it's a really important advocacy group for council, I think, to be involved in.
Thank you, Councillor Brick. Any council reports? Councillor Brooks.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Last week, Councillor Elliott and I attended a meeting at Yarrawonga Neighbourhood House with the CEO, Julianne Clark. And I think we're all invited to an event tonight to launch their new brand. Not that any of us could go, but their new title is going to be called Yarrawonga Mulwala Community and Learning Centre. And they've introduced lots of different programs and services. I'm not sure that people are aware that they actually deliver the Services Victoria service from their location. So, you know, they're very busy with Centrelink, but also throughout COVID, they had lots of additional duties. They are also going to announce their partnership tonight with MHA Care, because they are now going to be the Yarrawonga distributor for the Moira Shire Food Share program. So we wish them all the very best with that. And on Sunday last, on behalf of council, I attended the TPS, the Tournament Players Series, PGA golf event at Cobram Barooga Golf Club. It was a week-long event, and it was the first time in the club's 100-year history that they've actually hosted a PGA event. The Mayor was also there for the glory at the end. It was a truly magnificent event, and it was a credit to all of those that were involved in hosting it. And it cost apparently just over $1 million to host the event. And they raised an enormous amount of sponsorship from local businesses. In fact, many were from local businesses, some corporate, of course, but they have the event now for the next 2 years. So, you know, again, I wish them every success. And the other bonus, of course, was it was won by a young lady, Hannah Green from Western Australia, and she created history by being the first woman to win a mixed gender golf event. So that was great to see as well. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Well done, Councillor Brooks. Thank you, Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Along with yourself and I, we attended the beach volleyball down here at the mighty Thompson's Beach here at Cobram. And to all the event organisers on both sides of the river here, Berrigan Shire and the Moira Shire, a huge thank you. But probably the biggest plus would be the Cobram Barooga Tourism Board. Their involvement there and their push for this event to be on the calendar for the volleyball in Australia is a great success story for our Shire and the Berrigan Shire on their doorstep.
And the event was attended by people from basically within South Australia, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria and Tasmania. Obviously none from Western Australia, but quite a few attendees. Some of the competitors were Olympic and Commonwealth gold medalists. So it was quite a really substantial event in the beach volleyball calendar. And with that, Mr. Mayor, if I can lead into this with the state government announcing that the Commonwealth Games are going to be a regional event, I want to put it up that Thompson's Beach, we can handle the beach volleyball, Mr. Mayor, and we could do it with our hands tied behind our back with Cobram Barooga Tourism involved and everybody from the Berrigan Shire and our Shire involved. Would be a great plus for our region. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. And the other thing we've got to acknowledge that the volleyball was SBS telecasted Australia-wide, and also getting back to the golf, it was telecasted all across Australia and New Zealand. So it's just been fantastic to put the Moora Shire on the map just for one weekend, just incredible. Councillor Lawless.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Like other councillors, I attended the Australia Day function, or the one in Tungamar, St. James. They have a combined one in Tungamar. And it was great to see that they actually split the award so that they were awarding someone in each of the towns this year, which I think was a great initiative because, as I think Councillor Limerick mentioned before, we've got that many volunteers doing so much work. It's great to be acknowledged as many of them as possible. Damien Kelly won the award, a famous name around St. James. And I think he's the go-to maintenance person in St. James. And when the silos were painted in St. James, he did all the fencing around that facility for donated all his services to do all of that. And like what some of these people do, it truly is unbelievable. And John Tyrrell won from Tungamar. Now, John is really active in the Kickstart committees or the Kickstart committee in Tungamar that we've got going. And he also has a lot of input at the free camping site. And what we're seeing in a lot of the smaller towns is truly is amazing now with these Kickstart committees and what people are starting to do. And I was just through there a couple of days ago, and I reckon there was half a dozen vans there midweek, and it's really changing those places. People are coming and using facilities, but John goes down and cleans the toilets and makes sure that everything's neat and tidy, and it really is. It's terrific the work that these people do in our communities. I was lobbied hard, very hard by quite a few people that spoke about a splash park in Tungamar, so I've got that message well and truly. Last Thursday, I also was invited into the bowls night at Tungamar. I think it was their championship night. The reason I mentioned it, they want to have a look at me to have a look at their facilities. And certainly their club rooms was an old house that was moved off a farm probably 50 years ago. They're not looking to build the Taj Mahal, but they're looking to upgrade and perhaps build a public toilet in that area that's accessible to the park behind that will become the home of the splash park when we build it, or if we can. But that's what they're looking at. So they're looking at doing community things. There was about 40 or 50 people there, and the general comment of other people that, and it was amazing to see the people that come out from Yarrawonga and St. James and surrounding districts. And they're coming to a lot of these little towns because they see an identity there, and they can really contribute. And I think if we ever get to the, we shouldn't get to the stage where say, oh, these places don't matter. I think they're growing, and that the state of the rink there, the guys tell me there's people coming from all throughout the competition. Now, to me, it looked unbelievable. I thought it was the fake turf for the start. But the standard of the green is just unbelievable, all done by volunteers. There's not even one patchwork of a bit of odd grass there. And they say it's better than any of the rinks that are in Yarrawonga. So I think those people are yet to be commended on the effort in all the little towns that they put in. It's only a pity that we can only go to one of these events pretty much on the day, because they all coincide about the same time, particularly the Australia Day events. But the other thing I'd just like to mention, and I know it came up at a meeting last week or the week before, when we were having a look at our financial structure and our future and planning into the future about looking at for new ventures. And I just happened to be up in Cairns recently visiting my daughter and grandchildren, and had a contact there with the local council. Cairns Council is 120,000, I think. Yes, about 4 times, and their budget's about the same it's about the same as ours per person. But one of the things that they're actually doing up there, and I know that Sally has briefed us on this in the past, I think we're looking into doing something with glass. But what they're actually doing up there, and I had an invite to go and have a look at the facility, because I think they've gone through all of the stages of it. It would have been good to see the final stage of where they've got to with all the research. And they're actually crushing the glass down to a standard where they're selling the glass as sand back to the concrete makers in that area. And I think that those sorts of things and with this, I think it will come up later in our meeting. We'll be talking about trying to cooperate more with surrounding shires. And I think that some of those things, I think could be a real game changer in recycling, and particularly if somebody else has done all the research. Now, because of COVID, as I said before, I wasn't able to go to the facility. And so next time I get up there, they've offered to take me out and to show me through the facility. And they were also, I think, using the glass, which we have talked about before for in road making and those sorts of things. But I thought the selling it back to as sand to concrete makers was a fairly significant thing. So I think that's all I've got, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. Okay, now with no other council reports, we'll move on to something that's new. Looking forward to it. So thank you, councillors. I will now ask our council's executive to provide a report on the directorates. First, Council Chief Executive Officer, Claire Keenan. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm pleased to report that Moira Shire and certain other regional and rural councils have been exempted from the state's decision to no longer pay rates on state housing. The state government currently pays rates on these homes. This would have reduced our income by approximately 3.5 million over 10 years. So this is a great win for the advocacy of council, as well as the Murray River group of councils, of which Moira Shire's mayor is currently the chair. In addition, developers in Moira will not be required to pay the 1.75% contribution of market valuation of new homes and subdivisions to state government. We anticipate this policy may drive more developers to our region, which has seen an increase of migration of 42% between 2020 and 2021 financial years, according to the Commonwealth Bank Regional Movers Index. The total spend in Moira Shire increased this January by 9.32% from January 2021, $20.4 million. Shire residents spent 3.64% less outside the Shire, and visitors to Moira brought in 10.32 more than last year. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Well, let's go in the right direction. Next, we have Amanda Chadwick, Manager of Governance and Performance, who is stepping in for the Director of Corporate Governance and Performance. This directorate oversees Council's Customer Experience Department Information Service, the People and Culture Team, and Council's Governance and Performance. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
This will be interesting. Go for it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, councillors. I'm pleased to provide a report for the Corporate Governance and Performance Directorate. Some interesting stats to start off with. For the month of January, since we reopened on the 10th of January, our call centre received a total of 2,892 calls, with 43% of those calls being answered at first point of contact with that customer. The remaining 57% of calls were transferred and dealt with specialist departments. Our customer experience team received just under 3,000 customer requests via the call centre and online. We've had some challenges since we reopened with the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, creating some workforce issues with our council. We've had a number of staff off work, either isolating at home as close contact or household contacts, or contracting the virus themselves. To support the workforce, we've gone to market for several casual opportunities in order to back up the workforce in both outdoor operations, waste teams, and indoor customer experience roles. A project update: as part of our requirement to comply with the Gender Equality Act, council officers have completed gender impact assessment training. We're now working to finalise our Gender Equality Action Plan, which is due to be completed and submitted to the Gender Equality Commission by the 31st of March this year. We're also in the final stages of improvements in the customer online portal for our planning department, which will include a planning and building register. Clients will have the ability to enter their submissions online directly into the planning application and access recently determined outcomes. Our successes: since January, we've managed 20 employment opportunities, including the current recruitment of various casual positions, again in response to the pandemic. We've also welcomed 7 new employees ranging from full-time to casual in the roles of municipal labourers, planning and engineering team leaders, plus our new Director of Infrastructure Services. Council installed a new intranet and knowledge base in January, which will increase the opportunities for first point resolution of customer inquiries, deliver a more consistent customer experience, enhance our team's engagement, prevent knowledge loss, and improve productivity. I'm also pleased to announce that in response to the growing need for council to build its own skilled workforce, we have developed a civil engineering student intern program, which will be advertised and promoted shortly. So this will provide an engineering student with an internship to learn the practical side of engineering during semester breaks while they study full-time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Amanda. Well done. I would now like to present Council's Director of Sustainability Communities, Sally Rice. Sally leads the community wellbeing, health, culture, sustainability, marketing, tourism, and communication team. Welcome, Sally.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hello, councillors. I'll just provide a report on some of the activities that the Sustainable Communities team have been undertaking this current year. We've made a submission to the council, and our environmental health services contractor, who is Kerno Environmental, have recently made submissions into the state government's review of Victoria's approach to illicit tobacco regulation. This is an issue that's close to our heart, as it's definitely made direct impacts on some local businesses in our shire. As part of the submission, council made it clear that the regulation of illicit tobacco needs to be improved, and therefore we welcomed the review. Our submission was strong on the position that council absolutely opposed to local governments being responsible for the policing of illicit tobacco, and that our staff live in the community and should not get involved in policing activities associated with organised crime. We'll keep you informed of the outcome of that review. We have had a few challenges, both of which are, have been otherwise reported on or in the media. We're in a hunt for lifeguards for our outdoor pools. Council's currently assisting the YMCA, who provide our aquatic contract, to find qualified lifeguards to work at our local outdoor pools. Due to the COVID pandemic, there's a shortage of lifeguard staff, and if we cannot find more, we might need to close the season early. The Bundalong rain event has already been reported on by some councillors. Thanks, Councillor Elliott. This was a significant event on the 29th of January. Following the event, our new Director of Infrastructure Services, Josh, and I met with community members and affected residents out there, namely from Pike Street, Goffs Lane, Plentyfish Court and Wrights Road, to discuss the issues, understand the issues and consider the options available. These discussions are ongoing and will form part of the budget deliberations. We've had some exciting successes recently. First one to mention is the Travelodge TV show filming, which was wrapped up last week after 6 days of shooting. The crew captured amazing footage of the Moira Shire Farmgate Trail, silo art, small towns, the Murray River experiences, golf, the Murray River Adventure Trail, nature experiences and more. We've really received very positive feedback from the filming crew and from the participating businesses. And we're all excited to see the final production, which will be aired on the 7 network in April. So keep an eye out for that. The volleyball competition has already been mentioned, so I'll cross that off my list for an update, but I will provide an update about a couple of grants that Council's recently been successful in having approved. One of which was we've signed an agreement with the state government for $50,000 for the installation of an electric vehicle charging point at the Federation Park in Cobram, which will be a perfect complement to the new playground that's down there and recently been completed. We've also received another $65,000 grant from the state government for the Curbside Reform Support Fund, which is to be used to support the diversion of glass from other waste and resource streams. And it's just an interesting aside, the United Nations has noted that 2022 is the year of glass. So it is the priority worldwide. Council has also partnered with Berrigan Shire in a funding submission to the Cross-Border Commissioner to deliver the outstanding elements of the Thompsons Beach Master Plan. And just last week, we received $5,000 from Sustainability Victoria to install a solar system on the Yarrawonga Mulwala men's shed roof. And just finally, for some project updates, the Yarrawonga to Burramine cycling and walking trail was officially opened by the member for Nichols, the Honourable Damien Drum, on the 15th of December last year, just in time for the school holidays. Reports from local businesses have been very positive, with bikes for hire being fully booked out over the holidays, which allowed visitors to travel to west to the Burramine homestead or to cycle in the magnificent Murray River Park, or even the local Burramine residents were known to be travelling east to enjoy the hospitality on offer in Yarrawonga. And just keep an eye out for a couple of events coming up shortly. Your local International Women's Day event will be taking place in Yarrawonga, Numurkah, Cobram and Nathalia between the 5th and the 19th of March. And Cultural Diversity Week activities will be occurring late in March, and further details on all of those events are available on Council's website. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sal. I would like now to introduce Josh Lewis, Council's Director of Infrastructure Services. Josh, Directorate includes Council Construction Operations, Building and Planning Services, as well as Council Parks, etc., reserves and all our facilities. Josh, thank you.
Thanks very much, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, councillors. As you've already heard this evening, right across council, there have been significant shortages associated with staff due to the COVID-19 pandemic we're experiencing, and that's not only our staff, it's also contractors and our consultants. So that's really made it difficult for us to maintain our levels of service, but we're exploring all possible avenues in meeting the needs of our community. One particular area of interest may be the supervising of school crossings. And certainly discussions continue with our key stakeholders, and we're considering appropriate contingencies if required. You've already heard this evening, again from a number of sources, about the Bundalong Rain event. It was certainly difficult for me personally, going out there and witnessing the impact that that had on the Bundalong community. Certainly we acknowledge drainage is a significant issue for the township, and we will ensure projects are submitted both for current and future budget deliberation processes. Project updates, very briefly, the Yarrawonga Multi-Sport Pavilion preparation works are underway currently. These works will enable that tender to kick off very soon after that tender is awarded. In addition, it will make the construction process more immune should we receive wet weather. On that note, the tender for the Multi-Sport Pavilion is currently underway, and we obviously hope for significant interest in this particular project. In terms of project delivery, despite the impact of COVID-19, we've already been able to deliver in excess of $12 million of works, and we look forward to delivering much, much more. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you very much. And Claire, I'd like to congratulate you for putting this on the agenda. This is absolutely fantastic now to get an update with everything that's going on. Congratulations, Claire. Now, this evening, questions will be read and answered by our CEO, Claire Keenan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've received 2 questions for this evening's meeting. Most councils put both the question and answer unabbreviated in the minutes. Is there any reason why Moira Shire does not record questions and answers in the minutes? Our meeting procedures, the governance rules, require us to record a summary of the questions asked in the public question time in the minutes. In the interest of transparency, we will now be extending the summary to include our responses to these questions. The full response will also be available from the recording of the council meetings on our website. The second question, why was the Tom Street Yarrawonga site not included in the agenda this evening? Council resolved at the December council meeting that a report be prepared in relation to the Tom Street site for a council briefing in February 2022, which has been undertaken.
Thank you, Claire. Then we go to 10, Officers' Report for Determination, 10.2, Office of CEO, 10.11, Appointment of Councillor Representatives. 2, committees with current vacancies. I need a councillor to move that. Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move motion that fill the vacancies on committees that require councillor representatives by 1, appointing Councillor Brooks to the Moora Shire Disability Advisory Committee. 2, appointing Councillor Limbrick to the Moora Shire Environment Sustainable Advisory Committee. 3, appoint Councillor Beitzel to the Moora Shire Youth Council. 4, appoint Councillor Elliott to the Goulburn Murray Climate Alliance. 5, appoint Councillor Lawless to the Goulburn Valley Community Road Safety. 6, appoint Councillor Heather to the Murray-Darling Association, and an emergency, Councillor Cox. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. You just made that one, didn't you, Councillor Cox? Can I have a councillor second that motion, please? Councillor Lawless. I don't think we speak towards that. Just briefly,
Mr. Mayor.
You want to speak to it?
Yeah,
okay,
just briefly, Mr. Mayor, if I can, please, because we had to wait till we had a full council back again to make these appointments, and I congratulate all the appointments that have been made, Mr. Mayor, and I just hope that councillors tackle these issues with guts and performance, Mr. Mayor. Well done. Thank you.
Councillor Cox. Councillor Lawless, you don't wish to speak to it? All those in favour of the motion? Carried. Thank you. 10.2, Corporate 10.21, Quarterly Budget Review, December 2021. Can I have a councillor move that motion, please? Councillor Limbrick.
Didn't even nod, Mr. Mayor. Like the recommendation is that council note 1, the projections for 2021-2022 financial year contained in the December 2021 quarterly budget review, and 2, the environment upgrade agreement quarterly performance report.
Thank you, Councillor Limbrick. Can I have a councillor second that motion? Councillor Cox. Councillor Limbrick, you wish to speak to it?
The report's in front of everybody. I think, as I reported earlier from the Audit and Risk Committee, council's financial position is sound. We've got work to do and there's some moves afoot. And I congratulate all those involved in preparing the reports to the satisfaction of the Audit and Risk Committee and Council.
Thank you, Councillor Limbrick. Councillor Cox.
Just briefly, Mr. Mayor, in the report, it states that council received a large injection of funds, but that's basically an in and out, Mr. Mayor, and with grant money coming from federal government and state government. So it's, just an in and out, and it does blow our figures out a little bit, but it's the longer term, it's just an in and out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Any other council wish to speak? Councillor Lawless.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that other councillors have covered it fairly well, but I think that the report does up our surplus a slight amount, about 0.49 million. But the thing that's really interesting in the report, and when people look at our financial situation, we have got $37 million worth of capital works outstanding. And so that doesn't leave much up their sleeve. And that's a variety of projects, just our normal run-of-the-mill capital works that are upgrading roads and footpaths, but also the major projects that we've got out there, without including the America flood study that we will have to contribute to. So I think we have to really keep an eye on where we're going.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. The council wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Limbrick, you don't wish to sum up? All those in favour of the motion? Carried, thank you. 10.2.2 Council Plan 2021-2025 half-yearly performance update. Could I have a councillor move that motion, please? Councillor Elliott.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I recommend that council note the progress achieved against the 21 to 25 council plan for the period of the 1st of July, to the 31st of December 2021.
Thank you, councillor. Could I have a councillor second that motion, please? Councillor Brooks. Councillor Elliott, you wish to speak to it?
Just briefly, Mr. Mayor, I think it's exciting to see the progress achieved and the councils and that council has either delivered or made progress on key objectives within the plan. It also gives me confidence that if we work together as a council and as a team for the next 3 years, then all foreseeable goals can be achieved and possibly implemented. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to note as well that considerable progress has been made against the 5 pillars and the 33 goals towards achieving these key objectives. And, there's impressive progress, but there's just a couple that I would like to highlight, if I may. And I thought one of the very popular, and I know this was held up a couple of times during COVID, but I think the business training and mentoring programs have been really well received by the community. I also really applaud the work that was done around the adoption of the Moira Shire Community Vision 2035. And I think that the inclusion of a number of new businesses into the Murray Gate Farm Trail has been particularly innovative as well. So well done in terms of meeting all the criteria, as Councillor Elliott mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooks. Any other councillor wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Lawless.
I might just add to the previous councillors and that the 5 key objectives are to welcome and make it a welcoming and inclusive place, diverse and dynamic economy, clean green environment, customer focused and responsive. And I think one of the reports we heard before, that's really good. I think was that over 2,000 people have actually rang in and wanted information, and 40% of them were helped there and then on the spot. So that's great. And I think that all come. And the other one is transparent and accountable governance.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. Any other councillor wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Elliott, you wish to sum up?
No.
Thank you, Councillor Elliott. All those in favour of the motion? Carried. Thank you. 10.2.3 Local Government Performance Reporting Framework 2021-22 half-yearly report. Can I have a councillor move that motion, please? Councillor Lawless.
You're quicker than me, Mr. Mayor. That council note the progress towards local government performance reporting framework for the first 6 months of 2022.
Thank you, councillors. Can I have a councillor second that motion, please? Councillor Cox. Oh, sorry, take that back. Councillor Elliott, you had your hand up first. Councillor Lawless, you wish to speak to that motion, please?
Here again, like the last report, there's 58 indicators measuring financial and non-financial performance. So it's a really good report, and I'm guessing that other councillors will pick out different pieces on it. But one of the things, and it even talks about the satisfaction of the public in the way we have actually conducted our affairs. But one of the things that I know you yourself, Mr. Mayor, have been really keen on is planning applications over 60 days. And I know there are some reasons, but I think we do need to keep an eye on it. And due to it, the number of applications we're having, and I think that our CEO, Claire, indicated that in her report of what's happening in the Shire, but also staff shortages. But we're not going in the right direction. Like in 2019, we had 69% of our were dealt with within 60 days. We're down to 54. So I think we really need to keep an eye on that. But that's just one of the things that are there. And I think the other thing in the report, I think we had 100% of our planning applications were held up at VCAT, meaning that we had no reports against us at VCAT, which I think was really good.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. And I think probably the percentage drop in Councillor Lawless might be COVID. you know, working from home information. So totally agree. Councillor Elliott, you wish to speak to that motion?
Yeah, just briefly, I just wanted to highlight some of the reporting and the diverse range of services, including which would be monitoring animal management requests and a strong focus on reuniting pets with their respective owners, monitoring of participation and visitor rates on aquatic facilities, child health and maternal services, excellent rates of recycling and organic waste being diverted from landfill, our quick response to food service and non-compliance complaints, and one other being a great transparency in council's decision-making process. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Elliott, any other council wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Lawless, you wish to sum up? All those in favour of the motion? Carried, thank you. 10.2.4, appointment and authorisations of council officers under the Planning and Environmental Act 1987. Could I have a councillor move that motion, please? Councillor Limbrick.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The recommendation is the council resolves that 1, the members of council staff referred to in the instrument of appointment and authorisation be appointed and authorised as set out in the instrument, and 2, the instrument be sealed with the common seal of the council. 3, the instrument come into force immediately following the common seal of council being affixed to the instrument and remains in force until council determines to vary or revoke it. And 4, upon the instrument coming into force, the instrument of appointment and authorisation to members of council staff as made by council on the 28th of July 2021 is revoked.
Thank you, Councillor Limbrick. Now, Councillor Lawless, she's saying that motion. Councillor Limbrick, you wish to speak to her?
Oh, just briefly, Mr. Mayor, it's really procedural, so it's just recognition of change of staff and making sure that we've got an up-to-date list of staff who are authorised to make decisions and act in accordance with the agreement.
Thank you, Councillor Limbrick. Councillor Lawless. Any other council wish to speak to that motion? All those in favour of the motion? Carried, thank you. 10.2.5, discontinuance of sections of unused roads within Lake Numurkah. Councillor Beitzel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation that council resolves to discontinue sections of unused road from the end of Saxon Street between Russell Street and Kennards Road, Numurkah, as well as a section of unused government road to the north of the existing island within Lake Numurkah and the reserved land for public use following community consultation.
Can I have a councillor second that motion, please? Councillor Limbrick. Councillor Beitzel, you wish to speak to it?
Yeah, just briefly, Mr. Mayor. This is a two-part procedure. It went out to the community last couple of months. 3 submissions were received with no submission requesting to meet with council. So to simplify it, at the end of Saxon Street and between Russell Street and Kennards Road, to travel that path, you'd actually have to use a boat. So it goes through the middle of the lake. So I think this is a pretty common sense approach. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Beitzel. Councillor Limbrick. Any other council wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Beitzel, you wish to sum up? Thank you. All those in favour of the motion? Carried. Thank you. 10.2.6, Assembly of Councillors. Could I have a councillor move that motion, please? Councillor Elliott.
Yeah, you beat me again, Mr. Mayor. I recommend that council receive and note the record of assemblies of councillors for December 2021.
Thank you, Councillor. Could I have a councillor? Councillor Cox. Councillor, you wish to speak to it?
Once again, just very briefly, Mr. Mayor, assemblies of council is noted to provide transparency in our decision-making progress. It's about making all councillors accountable in a true and accurate record and to be fully informed for all council public meetings.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Cox. Any other council wish to speak to that motion? I wouldn't think you'd like to sum up, Councillor Ed. All done?
Probably said it all, I think, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favour of the motion? Carried, thank you. 10.3 community, 10.3.1, MUA for cross-border collaboration, or MOU, is it, Claire? MOU, for cross-border collaboration with Berrigan Federation and Indingo Shire Council. Could I have a councillor move that motion, please? Councillor Mansfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that council endorse the memorandum of understanding for cross-border collaboration with Berrigan Shire Council Federation Council and Indigo Shire Council.
Thank you, Councillor Mansfield. Could I have a councillor second that motion? Councillor Brooks. Councillor Mansfield, would you like to speak to it?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This particular recommendation is long overdue, and I congratulate the Mayor for initiating this particular recommendation. Our neighbouring councils, Berrigan, Federation and Indigo, we've got a lot of common interest, mainly the river, and a lot of our tourism type facilities have got common agreement amongst us. And I only hope that this memorandum of understanding develops further down the track so that we can have a common meeting with all the Shire councillors of these councils, so that we can network and bring to fruition some of the common things that we need to be done in our shires. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Mansfield. Councillor Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also would just like to applaud the good sense of our respective neighbours and in bringing together this MOU, and while I think it became very apparent to all of us during COVID, the nonsensical nature of this cross-border business. So I think that, whilst there aren't any legislative implications around endorsing the MOU, that the intent that the four councils actually just give due consideration in respect to council business, both strategically and operationally, just makes good sense. And, the recognition that just at a regional level, at least, the communities have common experiences and common interests. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Brooks. Any other councillors? Councillor Lawless.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just might mention the 5 key focus areas. The first one is issues of regional and national significance. Second is aligning services and sharing information. Third was community infrastructure works. Fourth was local transport. And the fifth was regional economic development. And just to give you an example of the success in an informal way, the area now covered by Federation Council, which was Berrigan and Corowa, and was you ran a council on its own then? Yeah.
Not Berrigan, no.
No, Berrigan was involved in this deputation to the Minister and Moira to reopen the Oakland-Sabinella rail line, and I was involved in that issue, and that was an informal thing. But the fact that all of those councils came together, they got that it's 120 kilometres long, I think, and that we walked away from Melbourne with $23 million to upgrade that line, although it's starting to deteriorate again. But that's the sort of thing this sort of a working with other people in the district with common interests can do.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. Any other? Councillor Cox, you wish to speak to it?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Apologies for interrupting you there, Councillor Lawless too. Recently, the council elections in the Berrigan Shire and Federation Shire has given a new impetus there with new blood in both shires. In the Berrigan Shire case, they've got a new CEO, and with new opportunities and probably new threats. But if everybody's together on the one page, when we invite the commissioner, cross-border commissioner down there, he doesn't have to sit down and listen to one councillor, Mr. Mayor, he can listen to 4 of them. And this is a big plus for our region. And I just think that this is a great way to go forward. We used to have a close working relationship with the Berrigan Shire in the past, but it sort of dropped off a bit. But let's rekindle it and onwards and forward. And I just think all positive as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Mayor. And I think it'll be great for our region. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Any other councillor wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Elliott.
Yeah, I would, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I'd just like to endorse the other councillors' statements there. But I think while this line in the sand, or state border, if you like, is very much pronounced between our state capital cities, the state line diminishes here and only causes anomalies here on the border or cross-border communities. And at the end of the day, we're just one community and we're very much interwoven. So thank you.
Councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Limbrick.
I think most of it's been said, Mr. Mayor, but I think the minimising of duplication of services is really critical. It's getting harder and harder to get funding for major projects. And I think if we're cooperating with each other, we can make sure or try to ensure that we don't expend money on things that can be done much more efficiently by having it on one side of the river or the other. There is a false border, if you like, certainly with our border communities. And I think we can make possible larger and key community and business projects in cooperation with our regional shires. I think that's a great thing. Sharing of intellectual property and practical skills, I think too, is really important when we're isolated from the capital city. Having access to intellectual property within councils, I think, is a really critical part of the memorandum of understanding, and I think that's really important. And I think we've just witnessed over the last couple of weekends the synergies around tourism, and in particular the PGA Golf Tournament at Cobram Barooga, and also the beach volleyball the weekend before. So both at Cobram Barooga, one on one side of the river, one on the other. But for those of us that went last weekend, I didn't make it to the volleyball thanks to COVID. But I did make it to the golf tournament on Saturday and spoke to a lot of people. And there were people there from Swan Hill and all over the place. And they're all camping in caravans, in caravan parks and stuff around in it. So it's really important that we can cooperate with each other on each side of the river. And we've seen the opening of our recent rail trail out to, or walking trail out to, riding trail out to Burramine. And we're seeing the similar developments on the other side of the river. And it makes perfect sense to me that we can link those things together across the border and exist so that as if the river doesn't exist, albeit it's a really important part of all of our shires.
Thank you, Councillor Brick. Any other councillor wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Mansfield, do you wish to sum up?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just make the point that Cobram and Barooga are two towns, but they're one community. The same as Yarrawonga, Mulwala, they're two towns and one community. And the same as Corowa and Waganya, they are two towns but one community. And this is an opportunity for all of us four councils to get together and cooperate for the benefit of all our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mansfield. All those in favour of the motion? Well done, carried. Thank you. 10.3.2, Environmental Sustainability Report 2021 to 2020 to 21. Could I have a councillor move that, please? Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I recommend that council endorse the following reports. The one being the Environmental Sustainability Strategy Annual Report 2021 and the Environmental Sustainability Strategy 4-Year Summary 2017 to 2021.
Thank you, Councillor. Could I have a councillor second that motion? Councillor Cox. Councillor Elliott, do you wish to speak to her?
Yes. This recommendation notes that the finalisation of both reports mentioned and highlights the journey in achieving these outcomes. Council has worked closely with committees, including community groups, schools, government agencies, and local business in these achievements. Some of these examples of the strategy include reduction of waste by different means, free mulch to all residents, off-grid solar systems, tree planting, water use reduction, and an increase in organic service and recycling options to all our residents.
Thank you, Councillor Elliott. Councillor Cox. Any other councillor wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Elliott, do you want to sum up? You said it all. All those in favour of the motion? Carried, thank you. 10.3.3, pledge for the Goulburn Broken Region Catchment Strategy. Could I have a councillor move that motion, please? Councillor Lawless.
The recommendation is that one, pledges its support for the Goulburn Broken Catchment Management Authority Regional Catchment Strategy.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. Could I have a councillor second that motion, please? Councillor Cox. Councillor Lawless, you wish to speak to it?
I think that I did read through the report, and we do have to support this strategy. I did think the report did mention a lot of motherhood statements, and I'm hoping that there's a bit more substance in action. We see in action to their intent, and perhaps I didn't read it well enough, but we certainly have to work with them, and certainly coming from a rural area, I understand some of the works that they're in, and but I just thought it was a little bit light on detail, or perhaps I didn't understand the detail, but we certainly support this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, that the community, it's been a bit of a process to go through here, Mr. Mayor, and it's ready for the Minister to accept. And that's where the report is at, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cox. Any other councillor wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Lawler, should wish to sum up? All those in favour of the motion? Carried, thank you. 10.4 infrastructure, Neil. 11 notice of motions, Neil. Petitions and joint letters, Neil. Council Seal, Neil. Now we're going to urgent general business. Any council got any urgent general business? No? Okay, thank you. This now concludes our council meeting. For those watching via live stream, on behalf of council, we'd like to thank our community for participating in our meeting. Stay safe and good night. Meeting closed. Thank you.